Ebita. Instructors Elona, just open it like this. Instructors Elona, to your right. Let's go to our right. Let's go to our right. Let's go to our right. Please, let's go to our right. Let's go to our right. Down, down. Let's go to our right. Let's go to our right. Up, small. Up. We go to our left. We go to our left a bit. Left. We go from right to left. We go from right to left. From right to left. Change the system from left to right. From left to right. Change the system from left. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Are we together? Yes. Okay. From the commander, we are going to start working first. Yes. But as I told you earlier, let us sing, clap, we make it live. We reach wherever we are going to start running. We will take it from the commander. Okay? Okay, sir. Go. Are we all ready to go? Yes, sir. Come on.
who has passed through the program during the pilot phase in 1991, rose through the ranks, and served as a director of the National Youth Service Scheme. And then he is now the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sports. From the far right is Honorable Sirif M.L. Gomez, then Youth and Sports Minister, who has also been one of our mentors. He has passed through the scheme, rose through the ranks to serve the highest position of the Youth and Sports Ministry, that is Minister for Youth and Sports. Next to him is the Honorable Youth and Sports Minister, Honorable Baji Bakari Wai Baji. We welcome you all. We have behind the guest, our invited guest, who also contributed immensely in making this day a success. We have our brothers and sisters from the Mamaland. We have the NYSS representative here. And then we have also the president of the first batch, Mr. Ibrahim Njai. Now we will start with the National Anthem. My name is Kausu Baji, and my role is just to be the master of ceremony. We thank you very much. DJ. Of different badges together. We are conscious of the fact that people of the same badges had strived to come together based on the number of graduates that we have in the various badges, and they are striving in their own way. But we know together, if we all come together, we can form a stronger force to represent or better represent the National Youth Service Scheme. If we come together and get an umbrella body that will represent the interests of the ex-corpus, then we will be in a position to influence and motivate the National Youth Service Scheme Secretariat to support us more. We must acknowledge that the National Youth Service Scheme had committed in making this day a success. Since this idea was discussed or proposed to them, they have never taken it light. Day in, day out, they have committed towards making this day a success, and this is why today we are here. Without much ado, I'll invite the president of the first batch. As I said earlier, we didn't have an alumni association that represents the whole umbrella body, but knowing very well that the first batch representative is here, we all agreed as an organizing committee to give them to make the introductory remark. Mr. Njai, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable Minister, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great pleasure to start this auspicious occasion by heartily welcoming our guest of honor, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mr. Musambai, Ministry of Youth and Sports, and the Chief Guest of Honor, Honorable Minister Bakari Baji, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Lieutenant Colonel M. Mbub, and other distinguished guests here present. as some of you may know me, I am Ibrahim Anjay, President of the First Batch Association. Today we have gathered here for the first time to start a new era. After 26 years of some of us graduated from the NYSS, some of us are currently holding high government positions. Some are independently working on their own, although some have changed their field of studies rather. But still they are engaged in meaningful development. Words cannot express the goods of the NYSS. The NYSS ex-COP members from all badges has deemed it fitting to come together to contribute their own quota to contribute their own quota and sustainable development in the Gambia. The NYSS, since its establishment in the year 1996, has graduated over 2,500 youths in various skill acquisition programs and inculcating responsible citizenship in their minds and hearts. After 26 years since inception, the scheme has graduated 13 badges. In particular, 2 badges of apprenticeship training program and 2 badges of agricultural specialists. 1 badge specialized on tourism guide and 1 badge on illegal migrant returnees, making it a total of 19 badges. Regardless of all this success registered, the major challenge remains to be the unavailability of the Alumni Association, a unit umbrella body to represent the global interests of all ex-COP members, to drastically reduce the unemployment rate of the youth in the country. It's in this backdrop that we, the ex-COP members of the NYSS, deem it fitting to organize a 2-kilometer marathon from Karaba Avenue to the NYSS orientation camp in Bakau on the theme Self-Challenge Run for Reunion. Run to fulfill a desire, finishing at your own pace, and a planned meeting for all ex-COP members. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to inform you all that the organizing committee has conducted 9 radio programs and 1 TV sensitization program within 1 month. We thank the entire media house in the Gambia for their hospitality and all partners for supporting this day. Thank you.
I guess from henceforth, we have understood clearly that from 1996 to date, the NYSS has graduated 19 badges. 13 in the normal program, 2 of the special badge in agriculture, 2 special badge in ATP, that is the apprenticeship training program, 1 in illegal economic migrants returnees, the other one is on tour guide. This is key, that the NYSS has played a great role in the sustainable development of the country. Highlighted Mr. Ibrahim Anjay, President of the First Batch. Thank you very much, Mr. Anjay. We are really proud. Without much ado, we will welcome the representative of the director, executive director of the National Youth Service Scheme, who is the deputy director, Mr. Mustafa Baji. The floor is yours.
Simple, to welcome or perhaps say a few words. I think I'm amazed with the development of how, starting from where you start up to this level. I think what I'm saying, I was just having a few discussions with my boss, who is a DPS Mumbai, to say next time around, NYSS will have to think up in ourselves to see how we partner with the association so that we can come and make a very successful one. This, I want to thank all of you, starting from the Honorable Gomez. He's also my mentor. I learned a lot of things from him. Mbai, of course, yes, he's also our mentor. He passed through the scheme in a lot of things about NYSS. We also want to thank the partners and also call on other partners as well, because this is national development. At NYSS, when I saw something like welcome, I think it should have been the first batch president, because, of course, this camp belongs to you. Whatever you see here belongs to you, matters most. So that's why we're here today. This is your day, this is your program, this is your platform. We are here as service providers to support whatever you want to do. Of course, we are at your service. If you're delighted, if you're happy, we are delighted, because we're here to serve you, to look at how we support the young people. Again, I was discussing with DPS to say there is an International Day for Skills. I say if somebody somewhere have to celebrate the International Day of Skills, I think NYSS should be the focal person, should be the focal institution to celebrate that. I say we work with them to see how we work together to celebrate that, to use that, because we want to own that skill day. If you talk about NYSS, what we think about is the youth development, but on skills. And I think that's the skill that can that can move the country. In whatever in entrepreneur, you call it prime movers. Because wherever you look at, wherever you see, whatever you use here, in this world and here you can see around, is made by an entrepreneur who is a skilled person. So in that note, we are the one moving the country. So we want to employ all of you. The idea, of course, my boss are there to give you more details on that. Our idea of NY is to make self-independent. In a sense, we want to acquire skills, of course, marketable skills, so that we can go out there, support the government, support our family, how we employ them, how we employ ourselves. And again, I attest to the first budget president. Yes, of course, you have some of your core members, who we call EX-core members, who are in a very high position. But of course, if you go around in the community, you see a lot of them doing their own way, doing a lot of things, contribution. I think we need to celebrate that. There are a lot of celebrations that are untold. There are a lot of things that are untold. Again, we are also working to see how we have a treasure study. This treasure study, all of you will be involved to see how impact that the NYSS made to the young people. Again, we want to call on all of you. I'm sure with your comment, we can do a lot of things here. So on that short note and precise, we want to thank all of you, and again, welcome, and also want to thank so that I am sure we work together. And I'm very much glad on behalf.
Sorry, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, the Master of Ceremony. Perhaps I will begin by saying that there is a saying in Wolof that says, Gumbodu jitu etam. And I think you all understand what it means. However, by the time I conclude my remarks, you will understand why I had to make this request. The Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, Bakari Y. Baji, my respected senior and role model, Honorable Sheriff M.L. Gomez, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Mr. Musambai, the representative of the Executive Director and the Deputy Director of the National Youth Service Scheme, Mr. Mustafa Baji, the principal donors here present, President of the EX-core members, core members here present, EX-core members here present rather, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am Lieutenant Colonel Abdullah Mbub, the commanding officer of 1 Infantry Battalion, Gambia National Army. I am deeply humbled to have been given a much-cherished responsibility of delivering a motivational statement to the EX-COM members of the National Youth Service Scheme. Over 2 decades ago, I was an instructor at the Gambia Armed Forces Training School. I was among a team of 4 instructors attached to the National Youth Service Scheme for the orientation of the 6th batch and again the tour guide of this country. During that period, we became very close and developed a bond of friendship that some of us were able to nurture over the years. Today, these fine ladies and gentlemen organized this colorful event and decided to invite some of us. Then, when I came here, I came with 4 NCOs of the Armed Forces, senior NCOs. One was a staff sergeant, one was a sergeant, the other was a corporal, and I was a private soldier. But as you know, in the Army, immediately after recruitment, the first designation given a soldier is private soldier. But these fine corpers at the time, they didn't know how to address me because the sergeant was called a sergeant. The corporal was called a sub-corporal. So they didn't know whether they would call me Private Mbub or my name. So they decided to give me Sam Mbub, even though I've never met the Queen. When I was given this invitation that the EX-COM members agreed to invite me to give a remark, I asked myself, what do they want me to tell them? But when I looked inwards to myself, I said, perhaps I can share my own story. When we first met at this very orientation camp, I said I was a private soldier and the most junior in the team of instructors attached to the National Youth Service Scheme. A little bit about myself. Like many others here today, I was born in Banjul and grew up between Banjul and the Kanifing municipality. I went to St. Joseph's Ex-People's Primary School, known as Mrs. Ndao, then to Gambia High School. Every morning, while I stood at the Observer Junction or the big tree where we have the Ndamban Hospital today, waiting for transportation to Banjul, I used to see a fine gentleman, immaculately dressed in his fine khaki uniform. I became his secret admirer, and my love for the Army began to grow deeper and deeper. Today, I am a professional pilot and hold the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, and I command the biggest battalion in the Gambia National Army. The team of 4 instructors that was attached to this camp for this orientation, in which I was the most junior man, I subsequently became their commander. But how did I achieve this? I want to dilate a bit on self-belief. This cannot be said without dilating on the spirit behind the establishment of the National Youth Service Scheme. This scheme, as we all know, was created to develop youths of this country for a better and gainful life. That is by empowering the youths to partake in the socio-economic advancement of the country. I am glad and I am convinced that this nation is proud of all of you today. Majority of you have established your own businesses, as alluded to by the first batch president, or have acquired skills that continue to benefit our society and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, you could not have achieved this without self-belief. If you had not believed in yourselves, you will not achieve your successes today. I want to join the many to celebrate you, EX-COM members of the National Youth Service Scheme, for the successes you have registered this far. When I went to flight school, I was taught how to prepare a flight plan and how to fly my flight plan. In life, you make a plan and have a set goal, and with self-belief, you will surely achieve your flight plan. How do you do that? Although there could be many ways, but one is by identifying a successful individual in your chosen profession. Look up to him or her as a role model. I grew up looking up to that fine officer and gentleman of the Army, whom I continue to secretly admire up to today. Although he left the Army before I joined, but little I saw in him in his colors and what I came to know about him when he was in the Army continue to inspire me as a leader in the Army. Ladies and gentlemen, this fine gentleman is in the person of Honorable Sheriff Emel Gomez. Continue to be my role model, and I continue to secretly admire him. I want you to look up to someone who will inspire you to do more and win more. I want to thank you immensely for inviting me on this special occasion. I wish you all the best. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Baji, Council, Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, the executive members of the ministry, your able Deputy Permanent Secretary, somebody I think I had to poach at the time from, was it the ministry at the time, and had to bring him to the National Youth Service Scheme to be part of the directors at the Youth Service Scheme. I'm still proud that he's still serving, that Mr. Musambai. The executive of the National Youth Service Scheme. I thank you, Colonel Boop. I didn't know I had been inspiring somebody like you. I have always been proud of you. I have always admired you, your courage, the trajectory you took, and I've always been proud of you and your career in the Army. So I thank you also for that recognition. Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, I had joined the National Youth Service Scheme in '97, second February '97. And I thought I had a purpose. I had been called to the institution to bring in some perspective, to bring in some quality work that was necessary for a scheme of this nature. And that too, I was coming from a 27 months detention at the time. But I thought, this is my time to give to young people as a continuation of my career in the Army. Because in the Army, at the time, I was also a training officer heading the training school at the time. And I was also the adjutant of the battalion at the time when the 1994 coup d'etat happened. So to me, it was not a break in career development, it was a bridge to continue that purpose of serving my country. And I saw that in giving what I can to perfecting the lives of young people for this country. So I am pleased today, Honorable Minister, that the EX-CO members have come together to finally do this. And even this, right when I came in '97, it was the third batch. That was what I first worked with. The first batch that I entirely took in charge with was the fourth batch. And I am happy today that one of those core members, Fatou Gassama, is still serving. So for us, it was about moving this scheme to a level where every young person aspiring to be somebody, something tomorrow, must be given that chance, must be given that opportunity, must have that access, must be reached to, and be afforded this opportunity to have that chance to be the person he wants to be. People continue to talk about, Honorable Minister, that National Youth Service Scheme is about giving young people jobs. It's not. It is much more than that. It is about taking young people from that state of hopelessness, from that moment where you feel down, that you're given a leash of life, that you can be the best you can be only if you try. That is what this young National Youth Service Scheme is all about. So that is what the spirit of the scheme has been, and that is what it has continued. So today, having EX-CO members to come together, it's an idea that we had been toying around since the third batch, since the fourth batch, because by then you have three batches of young people who are already out. The idea was, how do you get them together so that they continue to work with each other, they continue to work for each other, they continue to work by each other. In this way, they can network, they can do best within themselves and for themselves. I don't think an association for EX-CO members is about coming together to help your institution. It is about coming together to understand that in a life's journey, there will continue to be challenges, there will continue to be beautiful moments, but these are things that you must share together so that together you can prosper, together you can continue to be what you have to be. But take note, national service for young people is a life calling. It doesn't stop with NYSS or only when you are out there doing work. It's a life of giving back to yourself first, because that is what must be developed. If you develop you, the individual, then you can see the perspective, you could see those around you within this lens of having a community of developed young people. And it is only when you start lighting these individual light bulbs in every instance, when you sit back, you see the entire community's light bulbs have lit up, and then you're successful, because you are as successful as the community you are living in. So this, in essence, is the challenge for young people, is the challenge for EX-CO members, and this association that you want to formalize now. And it is not coming at a better time. We are at a period where young people, in general, we continue to talk about that they constitute the bulk of the population. They constitute the biggest chunk of the population. This is supposed to be translated towards having, this country moving forward with its young people. We are at a threshold now where we are just coming from a very difficult period of 22 years from 1994. Mindsets have been distorted, values have been diluted, values have been misplaced, values have been trampled upon. What are our national values? What are our calling as young people? What is what is the platform we are standing on? What should we do for this country? These things need to be done. I've been discussing with the Honorable Minister that I believe that this is the moment where we must have a compulsory national service for every young person in this country to pass through the National Youth Service Scheme. And this is not far-fetched. In this way, we should be able to move this country by reorienting the minds of the people. And this is not just with young people. It's a profile across the country. But we must start with young people. For the next 20 years, 30 years, we must do a compulsory national service where we imbue young people with the values of this country. What this country wants from young people. When you are a youth, what does it include? What does it mean? So that if they understand this and what they're expected by their country, you will see that we will move together, we will move in unison. You'll have young people who are motivated to develop their country first before developing themselves or taking resources for themselves out of the public fund. This should be the agenda for young people, but this must be driven by the executive, this must be driven by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And I am hoping in this way, your ranks as EX-CO members will continue to grow. You will continue to look inwards to develop yourself. You will then be able to continue to contribute to national development. On that note, I want to thank everybody being here, Honorable Minister and distinguished guests. I want to also thank those remarkable people. Whenever I pass and I see those people, I am motivated. The passings of Babukar Keta of NYSS, the Fatou Gazamas, the Martha Gomez. These are people who have been here forever. I call them Mr. and Mrs. NYSS. They have always been here. And it is not easy for young people to sacrifice their aspirations, their ambitions, dedicated to developing young people themselves. So they need a round of applause. May I call for everybody to give them a round of applause. On that note, I wish the EX-CO members all the best. I wish the National Youth Service Scheme to transform, to move to next levels of national development, because National Youth Service must be mainstream in national development. It cannot be a fringe service. It has to be mainstream in national development. And I think that is the only way we could do. So once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here today. And I thank everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Assalamu alaikum. Honorable Bakari Baji, Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Sirif M.L. Gomez, Honorable Gomez, I think everybody would just say a little, but we cannot say everything about Sirif. He told you in his inspirational remarks or statement his career in the army and when he joined the National Youth Service Scheme. He was the first administrator of the National Youth Service Scheme of this country, working with the technical assistance from Nigeria to help establish what is today called the NYSS. And the rest is a long story. Rose through the ranks, like Kausu said, as GAM Jobs project coordinator, an institution he served only and exactly 1 month. He was appointed Minister of Youth and Sports in 2012. Our distinguished Honorable Lieutenant Colonel M. Woop, I think also we couldn't have had a better motivational speaker. The Executive Director, ably represented by the Deputy Executive Director, Mr. Mustafa Baji, the President of the first batch. Should I call you the first batch? Because I'm the first batch. Mr. Ibrahim Njai, our distinguished guests, staff and management of the NYSS here present, our distinguished EX-CO members, representatives of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I find it really very difficult to stand here and talk as your guest speaker in the presence of Honorable Sirif M.L. Gomez. He is a very good brother, colleague, and a friend to me. I just want to give you a brief historical background, the perspective, putting everything into context for the records. When the Honorable Minister comes, he will talk about his policies and programs at the ministry and what actually you mean to government as young people. For me, I think I'm more or less talking to you directly. And again, having listened to the motivational speaker and the inspirational speaker respectively, it actually makes my job really very easy. To begin with, Honorable Minister, I want to put on record that the National Youth Service Scheme was envisaged in the 1989 Youth Policy. You know, formal youth work started in this country in 1989. That was when the first National Youth Policy was developed. And the NYSS was envisaged in that policy. In 1991, the first government of the Republic decided to pilot the NYSS to see how it will suit the socio-economic context of this country. And the NYSS was launched. 50 young people were recruited from all over the country. In fact, I remember during our orientation, like Kausu said, our orientation was more rigorous. It was a 3-month intensive induction training program. But then, the scheme at the time was more of job-oriented training program for responsible citizenship. I remember during the classroom, we labeled our villages in the classroom to know where we come from. And it was a 1-year program. 3 months intensive induction training and 9 months on-the-job attachment. I happen to be one of the best 3 core members, and as a result, I was retained at the Department of Youth and Sports, at the Department of Youth, Sports and Culture, then, to help train the second pilot program, which started in 1993 for 100 young people. At the time, the absorption capacity of the Chinatown then, which is today the orientation camp, could not accommodate 100 young people, so we were divided. Well, that batch was divided. We have 50 young people here and another 50 young people in Chairman, in North Bank, where we have the GSI today. Before the completion of the second pilot phase in 1994 came the takeover of the 22nd July. And then the former chairman of the council, who happened to be the former president, instructed the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Ministry of Education to come up with a proposal for the establishment of the National Youth Service Scheme. Because during my time as a core member here, we had one person called Samuel Conte, Alaji Conte. And I think it's Colonel James Jatta. I think he's still serving as our instructor. We used to have Jame and Co to be coming and visiting us. And I think he was motivated by the ideals of the NYSS. That actually informed the decision for him to instruct the 2 ministries, Ministry of Education and Youth and Sports, to come up with a proposal for the establishment of the NYSS. And in 1996, the NYSS was established. We had the likes of Honorable Sirif Gomez, who was here as the administrator, who worked very hard with the technical assistant and promulgated a bill that was passed at the National Assembly, and that was the NYSS Act 1997. The management was established and staffs appointed. And we had the late Sebastian Jai, may his soul rest in peace, the first executive director of the National Youth Service Scheme. Two years after its establishment, in 1998, the Ministry of Youth and Sports decided to do a study of the cost effectiveness and sustainability of the National Youth Service Scheme. The report recommended, among other things, the proper establishment of the scheme that actually informed the decision to promulgate a bill and have an act. Excuse me. The scheme continue mobilize, recruit young people. I told you the first pilot program was more of job-oriented training, and it was 1 year. With this program, it's a skills-oriented training for responsible citizenship and employability. The details of how it operates, you all know because you've passed through. After the mobilization, the orientation, the deployment for skills acquisition, etc. After a couple of years, in 2001, we at the NYSS and the ministry at the time were challenged by different sectors about the investment that we continue to make, or government continue to make, on the young people. After the skills acquisition, what next? Then we commissioned a study, that is the first impact assessment and test study, funded by UNDP through its FACE project, FACE meaning Fight Against Social and Economic Exclusion. The report recommended, among other things, the setting up of a micro enterprise window within the NYSS. And of course, you already know that this scheme seeks to train the youth to appreciate the dignity of labor, instill in them the spirit of self-reliance, and encourage them to create rather than seek jobs. I was not surprised when Ibrahim Jai talked about some of you operating your own enterprises. That's the essence. But the ultimate objective is be employable, either self-employment or in the formal sector. In 2002, it was also part of the recommendations of the first impact assessment and test study. It also looked at the other category of our young people who did not have the opportunity of attending school. Some of them attended madrasa school, some of them did not even have the opportunity to attend any of these. What do we do with them? Then the apprenticeship training program was conceived, and it was funded from the HIPIC fund. It was a cabinet directive. Over 200 young people were recruited and trained using the informal system for 46 months. And this is where, personally, I have a problem, particularly with some donors. We appreciate their support. I'll give an example of a particular intervention the NYSS had engaged with a particular donor to support the program to run an apprenticeship program for 6 months. Tell me, and the apprenticeship program, I told you, targets the low level of education of young people. How would, in 6 months, a young person who doesn't have basic knowledge acquire a marketable skill that will enable him or her to create employment from that? It's not possible. The NYSS apprenticeship program, unfortunately, we had only one program, and this was in 2002. But then in the second impact assessment thesis study, the impact of the training on those young people far outweigh even the normal skills-oriented training program. In 2005, the NYSS Act was amended. That's the NYSS Act 1999. Was amended in 2015, and the NYSS Act 2015 came into being. And this act added in the mandate of the NYSS a National Youth Service Program targeting university graduates. I must at this point acknowledge and appreciate the National Youth Service Corps of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for helping the Gambia establish our own NYSS. And I can tell you, NYSC of Nigeria have learned so much, in as much as they help us establish our own, have learned so much to the point now they are establishing our own model, the skills-oriented training, because their own was a service-oriented training, targeting also university graduates, but because the idea was, after the civil war in Nigeria, there was so much serious mess. And to reintegrate the communities in Nigeria, they established the NYSC, targeting university graduates, people who are professionally skilled. If you come from the north, they deploy you to the south. If you come from the west, they deploy you to the other part. To reintegrate people, and that helped greatly. When they came in here, of course, we borrowed the idea from them, but we know what we want at the time, because considering the demographic weight of the youth community, the number of young people, in our population, and then at that time, I think we had very few high schools. Very few of the youth population had the opportunity of going to high school. Most young people went to secondary technical schools. So government decided, as part of its responsibility to development of the young people of this country, created NYSS, and then tailored the program to be skills-oriented. And that is why we have the skills program. The National Youth Service Program targeting the university is another additional responsibility of the NYSS. However, since its establishment, its addition.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing? Great. Good afternoon to Honorable Sirif Emel Gomez. Like all said, he served the ministry and the country in different capacities. And all of us somehow have passed through him. By the time he was a minister, and we were active in the youth work. And it's good to see you here, Honorable Gomez, still active and still having a passion for the NYSS and for sports and for youth issues. The Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mr. Mbaye, again, same way, he's been here, knows the NYSS, knows the ministry. Lieutenant Colonel Boob, thank you for those great words, and it's good to meet you, I guess, for the first time. Our acting director, Mr. Mustafa Baji, and thank you also for holding the fort for the NYSS at the moment. Mr. Njai, who is the president of the fourth batch and earlier speaker, the staff of the NYSS who are here, our supporters, Mama Land Properties, good to have you, and thank you for supporting the work of the ex-COP members. And to everyone who is around, who has been a COP member or a staff, just want to extend greetings from myself on behalf of the ministry, and to extend appreciation that among the 2,500 that is said to have passed through the scheme, it is you who have availed yourself time to come and join this very important marathon and the meeting that will take place after the ceremonies. Us as a ministry is passionate about issues of the institutions under us. But the National Youth Service Scheme is a special one among those satellite institutions, for the fact that your mandate, or the mandate of the NYSS, is supposed to be the foundation on which the future of these young people or the future of the country will be built. Because you're focusing on orientation or reorientation in some aspect, and you're focusing on skills building, and you're focusing on employment creation and employability of young people, that is what every country wants. A youthful population that understands what it means to be a citizen of a country, a youthful population that is oriented to be nationalistic in their approach and in their activities, and a youthful population that is ready to serve its country at all times when the need arises. And that's what NYSS is about. But also a youthful population that is skilled enough to be able to take care of the informal and the formal sector of a country. And that is where us as a country is lacking. And like the DPS said, over and over again, government officials, individuals talk about our informal sector being controlled by non-Gambians. And yes, no one is against non-Gambians, because like the chair said, some of us have lived outside and we understand what it is. But we expect that the youthful population will be skilled and will be resourced to be able to dominate those sectors that drive the economy of the country. And while all of you have passed through the NYSS, maybe some of you have moved on to do something very different from what you were trained here to do. And some of you are still doing it and establish your own businesses and even employed people. We want to encourage you further to take the opportunities that are available within the sector, either created by government or by development partners that support government in this work. And us at the ministry will always be ready and be open to listen and to dialogue with you so that we can see what we can do collectively. We have our own challenges, and that's a reality. But we are ready to listen to new ideas. We are ready to listen to see how best we can work together to provide the resources as much as possible that will make your work easier. I don't intend to take a long time to speak, because I know we've been sitting here for a long time. And I just told the chair that I was actually supposed to be in Fonyi Council this morning at 10 o'clock. But I decided to start here because they also have a marathon. So, but I still need to run to Buyam. And, well, apart from that, so many other people have other issues that they want to do. Now, your program today is unique in the sense that not only are you bringing former COP members, but you're doing it in the form of one of the components that is under the ministry, which is sports. And it is a fact that we know sport is a unifier. It's an activity that unites communities. It's an activity that unites people, because once we are all engaged in it, it is what we do that we see. But beyond the unification that it brings, it's one way that helps us to remain healthy. So I want to encourage the NYSS COP members to be doing this as frequently as possible. But beyond the sporting activities, we want to see all of you come together in a way that you can be able to influence decisions. But most importantly, we want you people to come together because that could be a platform where you can share your ideas and share your experiences. Because each one of you, having gone in different batches, gone on to do your own things, there are a lot that you can bring to the table that can be shared among yourselves and be able to inspire others to do better. Because either way, some of us look up to some people. Some of us might not even know what people are doing, but by sitting together and listening to what they're doing, that can help us to look at ourselves and see whether what we're doing is the right thing, or we want to learn from somebody else that is sharing an idea that we can adopt and be able to make what we're doing better, or even change pathway and adopt something different from what the person is doing at the moment. But like I said, the government, through us as the ministry, will be willing to collaborate at any time that you have activities that you think could help all of us in what we do. But the reason why it's also important to unite and maybe bring all these batches together, it gives you a stronger voice. It gives you a bigger platform that even though some of you are established, there might be some new ones that have passed through the scheme that are still struggling to establish. And where the NYSS as a secretariat can do, or the ministry can do, we will. But in an instance where we are unable to do those kind of support to these young ones that are graduating from the NYSS, your corporate union or cooperative body might be in a position to support those young ones in set up business or do something that will be beneficial. In the end, it is our young people that wins. It is the country that wins, because cooperatives are in real sense supposed to support each other and support others who are new to be able to establish themselves. And it takes away the burden from some of us, as in individuals, but also takes away the burden from the government by ensuring that employment is created through those groups that are formed. So on that note, I want to encourage you to do more engagements, collaborate further, and continue to seek greener pastures if there is in the environment here or wherever one might find those things to be available. Finally, I want to thank Mr. Baji and Mr. Job, who is my koto also. I know he's part of the organizing committee, and all the other people that have come together to initiate this. And I hope that it will not be the only activity that is organized. It will not be the only opportunity for you people to meet. That beyond this activity, more and more will be done. And in fact, there will be an executive that will be created for all the parties together. And you have your own names or however you want to call it. Thank you for inviting us. And be assured that we will always be there to support. I know one of the things I'm asked to do is to open, but I'm not sure exactly what I will be opening, because already you people have done the running, and we're here doing the speeches. So your next event is the meeting of this group. So maybe that's what I'm supposed to open, if I'm right. So we just want to say on behalf of the ministry, on behalf of everyone that is here, that this meeting is formally and officially launched, and we wish you all the best in your today's deliberation and in the subsequent activities that your group will be doing. Thank you very much.
There is an error. Now Mr. Baji will stay. Yes, he should give $1. Mr. Njai.